Everything changed in a matter of seconds. Imagine an entire organization, a historic NFL franchise, teetering on the absolute edge, facing a massive, pressure-filled turning point that could literally alter the landscape of the entire league for years to come. Welcome to NFL Nexus. I am your host, and in today's explainer, we are breaking down a situation that is spiraling out of control in real time. Before we pull back the curtain on this gripping story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and comment down below on what you thought. Also, you can directly support our deep dives by becoming a channel member. Now look, the Indianapolis Colts find themselves staring down the barrel of a make-or-break 2026 campaign. The foundation of this team is actively cracking. The rumors are swirling out of control, and the sheer tension inside that front office building, it is absolutely palpable. So you have to ask yourself, what happens when an NFL offense loses its entire identity in a matter of seconds? Just last year, this was a unit that was absolutely on fire. I mean, they were systematically dissecting defenses, with Daniel Jones operating things under center and executing the playbook flawlessly. But then, disaster struck. A catastrophic high ankle sprain completely crippled their offensive line's anchor. Defensive miscommunications began to mount week after week, and just like that, a highly promising campaign instantly evaporated into a devastating 7-game losing streak. We are talking about consecutive, heartbreaking, blown fourth-quarter leads, ultimately culminating in an agonizing 8-9 record. No trip to the playoffs, no moral victories, just a bitter end to a season that started with so much promise. Because of that collapse, extreme pressure is currently resting squarely on head coach Shane Steichen's shoulders. He is entering his final chance. Actually, scratch that. It's more like his only chance left to salvage his tenure as the leader of the Colts. The window is closing fast, and the once-feared identity of this offense is now completely shattered. Section 1, an offense under pressure. The stark reality of the Colts' current offensive standing is, quite frankly, chilling. The deep skepticism surrounding their reconfigured roster isn't just everyday fan anxiety. It is being loudly echoed by the highest analyst in the sport. Look, when you collapse down the stretch and finish 8-9, the benefit of the doubt just completely vanishes. The margin for error is gone. Every single positional group is now under a massive microscope. Bill Barnwell at ESPN recently placed the Colts running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends at 14th overall in the NFL. Now, to be fair, you look at the trend, and this collection of positions has actually climbed the ladder each year. They were ranked a dismal 22nd overall in 2024, they moved up to 16th in 2025, and now they sit at 14th. But on the surface, given that they were one of the top-performing offenses for most of the 2025 season before the collapse, 14th feels like a harsh, sobering reality check. The experts are looking at this reconfigured unit and staring directly at their underlying analytical metrics. We're talking about bottom-tier average separation yards. We're talking about an abysmal 8.4% drop rate on critical third downs. When you see numbers like that, you realize exactly why the analysts simply aren't buying the offseason hype. So why the intense skepticism? Well, the sheer gravity of what Indianapolis did this offseason cannot be overstated. They made a blockbuster move, trading away their longtime volume leader, Michael Pittman Jr., to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, while Pittman may not have been a generational, highlight reel X-factor in the same vein as a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase, he was the undisputed safety blanket for this offense. He was the guy who reliably moved the chains on 3rd and 7. In his absence, an immense, crushing burden now shifts directly onto the shoulders of Alec Pierce. And the Colts didn't just casually hand him the keys to the offense. Now, they handed him a staggering 4-year, $114 million contract. To put that into perspective, nearly $72 million of that money is fully guaranteed right at signing. That is a massive cap hit that fundamentally handcuffs general manager Chris Ballard from making aggressive moves elsewhere on the roster. Everything, and I mean absolutely everything, now rides on Pierce, proving he is actually worth that astronomical number. Let's break down this incredibly unproven depth chart that now has to somehow carry the passing game. Alec Pierce is officially stepping into the WR1 role. Josh Downs, who operates primarily from the slot, is now elevated to WR2. Downs is going to need the absolute best year he has ever compiled just to maintain some semblance of offensive balance. Then you have the tight ends. Tyler Warren is taking the TE1 spot, while the ultra-reliable veteran Mo Alley-Cox, who has spent his entire 8-year career in the Circle City, serves as the primary red zone threat, boasting 16 career touchdowns. But when you dig deeper into the smallest details of this roster, the depth of the depth chart are terrifyingly thin. Ashton Dillon has been almost exclusively a special teams ace, securing only 40 catches for 623 yards across 7 entire years in the league. Nick Westbrook-Ikine completely fell off a cliff in Miami last year, grabbing a meager 11 catches for just 89 yards. Drew Ogletree continues to struggle with maddening focus drops, and Will Mallory, despite being arguably the fastest tight end on the roster, has been a complete non-factor in passing down sets. The pressure on this core group is immense, and one injury could topple this entire house of cards. 21.3. That is the exact number that defines Alec Pierce right now. Last year, Pierce led the entire NFL in yards per catch with that staggering 21.3 average, hauling in 47 catches for career-best 1,003 yards. He has maintained a highly specialized role as a deadly deep threat pass catcher for the first 4 years of his professional career. He has literally made his millions running go routes, deep posts, and clear outs to stretch the field. But here is the million-dollar question, or rather, the $114 million question. Can a career deep threat magically transform into a complete every down focal point? A true primary receiver in Shane Steichen's complex offense must master the full expansive route tree. We're talking about the deep digs, the highly nuanced option routes, and the intricate timing-based whip routes against tight press man coverage. With $114 million attached to his name, being just a one-trick pony who takes the top off the defense is simply no longer enough to justify the price tag. But look, there is a spark of undeniable brilliance here. 76. That is the franchise record number of catches set by rookie tight end Tyler Warren. Drafted 14th overall, the former Mackey Award winner hit the ground running like a seasoned veteran. In his debut against the Miami Dolphins alone, he hauled in 7 of 9 targets for 76 receiving yards and even added 3 rushing yards lining up as a fullback. And he never looked back. Warren earned a well-deserved Pro Bowl nod, finishing his spectacular rookie campaign with 817 receiving yards, 4 touchdown catches, and another score on the ground. When you factor in the massive, glaring questions at wide receiver, there is a very real possibility that Tyler Warren, not the $114 million man, actually leads the entire Colts franchise in catches this season. Section 2. The Jonathan Taylor Dilemma. Make absolutely no mistake about it, while the receivers are a giant question mark, the undeniable engine of Shane Steichen's scheme is Jonathan Taylor. If this offense is going to return to prominence and survive the grueling gauntlet that is the AFC, it has to be carried on the back of their superstar running back. Just look at these staggering numbers from the 25 season. Taylor led the NFL with a punishing 323 total carries. He crossed the goal line for 20 all-purpose touchdowns. He single-handedly moved the chains with 84 rushing first downs. He finished as one of the league's most critical, irreplaceable bell cow backs with 1,585 rushing yards, which included 5 separate games where he eclipsed the 100 rushing yard mark. And he didn't just find open holes created by the line, he created them himself, averaging an astonishing 3.4 yards after contact per attempt and forcing 68 missed tackles. And behind him, you only have DJ Giddens, who hardly saw the field last year, and rookie Seth Magon. The jury is entirely out on those two. Jonathan Taylor isn't just a piece of the Colts offense. He is the heartbeat of the Colts offense. Which brings us to the dramatic bombshell that is currently sending massive shockwaves through the league. Behind closed doors, a massive storm is brewing in Indianapolis, one that could completely dismantle this team's identity before the regular season even kicks off. Rumor has it, Jonathan Taylor is likely seeking a change of scenery. Think about that for a second. Despite amassing a staggering 1963 total scrimmage yards last season, the multi-time Pro Bowler could actually be traded away. He is entering the final year of his 3-year contract. He is firmly in the absolute prime of his career, and contending teams are circling the waters like sharks, eager to capitalize on this organizational fracture and pry away one of the most dynamic, game-changing talents in the sport today. Section 3. A trade to Pittsburgh? We have already seen the Colts do major business with the Steelers this offseason by shipping off Michael Pittman Jr. But could they pull off a second blockbuster deal that would fundamentally alter the balance of power in the AFC? The Steelers have shockingly emerged as a frontrunner to acquire Taylor. Pittsburgh is looking to completely reshape their backfield ahead of the upcoming campaign. Listen closely to this quote from CBS sports analyst Garrett Podell. He writes, "Should the Steelers get off to a hot start in Aaron Rodgers' swan song with his pal Mike McCarthy back as his head coach, Pittsburgh could go all in on the future Hall of Famers last season. Let those specific details really sink in. Aaron Rodgers, operating under center in Pittsburgh for one final year, Mike McCarthy, reunited with Rodgers as his head coach. McCarthy's West Coast offensive foundation has always relied incredibly heavily on a gap-blocking run game to dictate the time of possession and expertly set up the play-action pass. This is a team utterly desperate to win a Super Bowl right now, and McCarthy knows exactly what a premier bell cow back can do to elevate his entire system." Contrast the devastating loss this would be for Indianapolis with exactly what the Steelers are aggressively trying to gain. Taylor is the engine of Indy's offense, but for Pittsburgh, he is the missing puzzle piece. Coach McCarthy recently stated on the record that Rico Dowdle could really stand to work on his vision as a runner between the tackles, and Jaylen Warren is largely viewed by the staff as just a nice change of pace back. McCarthy hasn't had a true dominant bell cow back at his disposal since Ezekiel Elliott's prime and Tony Pollard's unfortunate fibula injury back in the 2022 postseason. Acquiring Taylor, potentially for just a third-round draft selection, would give Aaron Rodgers the ultimate unstoppable supporting cast for one last memorable championship run. Section 4. The Anthony Richardson Shockwave. If you thought the running back situation was bad, the tension escalates to its absolute peak right here. Because Indianapolis isn't just fielding offers for their star running back. They are actively dealing with a massive fracture at the single most important position in all of sports: quarterback. The former number 4 overall pick of the 2023 NFL Draft, Anthony Richardson, actually requested a trade earlier this offseason. Reports suggest there are deep, fundamental philosophical clashes with Shane Steichen regarding offensive mechanics. Combine that with intense frustrations over rehab protocols for lingering shoulder issues and his struggles to consistently process complex post-snap read progressions, and you have a recipe for disaster. After a messy 3 years together, the Colts unsurprisingly declined Richardson's fifth-year option. Initial trade talks following the 2026 NFL Draft completely stalled out, forcing Richardson to reluctantly return to the team. And now, he is currently locked in a tense neck-and-neck backup battle, a literal QB2 fight against second-year quarterback Riley Leonard. To make matters even more complicated and awkward, the Colts recently reunited head coach Shane Steichen with veteran quarterback Easton Stick, stashing him on the practice squad. Richardson's days in Indianapolis are clearly numbered, and the front office is actively exploring exactly what kind of draft capital they can get in return for him. Let's systematically break down the specific market value for Richardson right now, focusing on 4 highly calculated NFC North mock trades crafted by ESPN insiders. Honestly, it tells you exactly how far a top 5 draft capital investment has fallen in the eyes of the league. Down at the bottom of the list, Dan Graziano suggests a straight-up swap with the Bears for Tyson Bagent, putting Richardson in a quarterback room with Case Keenum and brilliant offensive mind Ben Johnson. But let's be real, the Colts likely don't want a player-for-player swap. They want draft assets to rebuild. Ben Solak pitches a deal with the Lions. Detroit gives up a 2027 fourth-round pick, and Indy sends back Richardson along with a 2028 seventh. In Detroit, Richardson would learn under Teddy Bridgewater, who actually unretired for a modest $2.5 million to play for Dan Campbell. It's a fascinating, sobering look at exactly how the league values a high-ceiling, low-floor quarterback right now. But the 2 most likely scenarios are deeply fascinating because they are heavily rooted in specific schematic fits. On the right, Jeremy Fowler suggests the Packers sending a 2027 fifth-round pick to Indy. Richardson's camp specifically wants to join the McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur offensive tree, which heavily features play-action rollouts and defined, easy-to-process half-field reads. In Green Bay, he'd battle veteran Tyrod Taylor for the backup job, hoping to replicate the incredible career-reviving success that Malik Willis found under Matt LaFleur. On the left side, Seth Walder pitches the Vikings, also for a fifth-rounder. It is a well-known fact in NFL circles that Kevin O'Connell viewed Richardson as his absolute number 1 preference during the entire 2023 draft cycle. Yes, Minnesota currently has Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy on the roster, but getting meticulously coached up by O'Connell in a system perfectly tailored for bootlegs and deep crossers is arguably the ultimate dream scenario for Richardson to salvage his career. Now, you really need to pay close attention to this timeline we're looking at because there is a very real, very urgent ticking clock element to this entire explainer. The exact sequence of events is absolutely crucial to understanding the holdup. Back in April, the 2026 NFL Draft passed with absolutely no trade materializing. Teams were simply unwilling to part with premium picks before seeing their own rookie minicamps unfold. In June, Richardson reluctantly returned to the Colts facility for off-season workouts, forced to compete with Riley Leonard. But looming over everything, a dark cloud over the facility, is a critical, fast-approaching financial deadline, August 1st, the roster bonus deadline. This is the exact date when the floodgates are expected to burst wide open. And here is the exact reason why everyone is waiting: $1,145,000. It all comes down to microscopic, highly strategic salary cap manipulation by NFL front offices. If a team trades for Richardson on July 31st, they have to absorb a massive $5.385 million cap hit for his base salary and roster bonus combined. But when that calendar flips to midnight on August 1st, the Colts are contractually obligated to cut that roster bonus check themselves. If Richardson is traded after his roster bonus is paid by Indianapolis, a new suitor's financial obligation drops drastically. The acquiring team will only have to pay a highly manageable $1.145 million in base salary for the upcoming season, keeping their precious cap room rollover completely intact. It is a highly calculated, strategic waiting game. Once that calendar hits August and the Colts are forced to absorb that financial hit, the phones in Indianapolis are going to start ringing off the hook. Which leaves us with one powerful, lingering question that fans are dreading. Will the Colts completely dismantle their core before kickoff even happens? Just think about the sheer volume of what we've covered in today's explainer. They've already traded away their top receiver. Their franchise running back, the undeniable engine of their entire offense, is heavily rumored to want out. Their former face of the franchise quarterback is actively waiting for an August 1st financial loophole just to escape the building. Shane Steichen's coaching window is closing rapidly, and the true identity of this team is entirely unknown. Can an NFL franchise survive this magnitude of offseason shockwaves? Or are we witnessing a complete, ground-up teardown in real time? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me on NFL Nexus, and I will see you in the next explainer.